To get started right away, let me introduce one of your hosts, Jeff N. Wilson. He's a fourth generation entrepreneur, a graduate of Wharton Business School, a speaker, author, mentor, and coach. He's worked with 3,000 plus businesses in over 112 industries, hundreds in construction, real estate development, building, trades, and suppliers. His average consulting client increases profits by 64% in the first year, and he's recognized as one of the top 100 coaches in the world.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have everybody here. I want to introduce my co-host and really the star of the show, S. Robert August. Robert is a National Association of Home Builder legend and Hall of Famer. He has over 4,600 Spike credits, which makes him the #1 all-time, and also in 2022, the #1 out of 21,000 this year members who are looking to attract other members or retain members. Robert is about the home building industry, and he's marketed and sold more than $40 billion in real estate and related services and products in his career. He's authored more than 1,000 articles and a co-authored book, and has instructed more than 2,500 classes, workshops, lectures, speeches, training sessions, webinars, podcasts, and strategy sessions. And he is a master at building alliance partners. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, which is his #1 strategy, which is using an alliance partner to be able to build an absolutely phenomenal and successful home builder business. And the principles he's teaching really work for any business. So without any further ado, Robert, please take it away and share your comments on this cartoon, which I think is unfortunate how many builders look at their businesses. I'm going to build the product and I'm going to sell it. And I'm not going to spend, as we talked earlier in a previous day about the necessity of investing in marketing. Well, here's a way, if you're going to sell yourself, you're really cutting it short. And Robert, you're going to really talk about how that's very short-sighted, and it's in fact not the best use of someone's dollars and marketing budget.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for your kind remarks. Thank you, Tiffany, as well. When we look at a cartoon like this, I think that there's this point that we learned from watching Kevin Costner's movie years ago, and it's almost build it and they will come process. And I think that as you look at it, it really takes more than just building a product and hoping to get somebody to come in and buy it. We had an unprecedented 2.5 years with the pandemic and the need for people to make change in their lifestyle environments. And as a result, you could just build almost anything and it would sell. Now, there's been a major pivot, and a lot of folks are panicking in the marketplace. And of course, those of you who are here today realize that there is no need to panic. What you can do is do a number of the points that Jeff and I are sharing, and you'll be just fine. But you have to really apply the materials. And what we're going to talk about today is instrumental in really developing a marketing campaign that I've proven, in my career, to add value, to add instant sales, ongoing sales forever and for more. We're going to be discussing the competitive aspect of participating with builder broker cooperation for profit, and we're going to delve into the details you're going to learn a number of different things that will add value to your present programs and help you stimulate more business. Those of you who are here today on behalf of home builder associations, boards of realtors, will also be able to relate to the material very well. And a lot of the same tenets that we're offering within this process can also be used through other trade associations to network and develop other business opportunities for you. And before I jump into the material, I'd like to congratulate you. You're all winners. Coming to a program like this for the last 4 days, it takes time from your schedule, and it also ensures that you're here to learn, and make a difference. And what Jeff and I, Tiffany and Del Jane, are so thrilled about is that we've held the audience. We've held you for the entire sessions, and we're excited about this. I'd like to share a poem by Grantland Rice called The Great Competitor, which all of you are. Beyond the winning and the goal, beyond the glory and the flame, he feels the flame with his soul, born of spirit of the game. And where the barriers may wait, built up by the opposing gods, he finds a thrill in bucking fate and riding down the endless odds. Where others wither in the fire or fall below some raw mishap, where others lag behind or tire and break beneath the handicap, he finds a new and deeper thrill to take him on the uphill spin, because the test is greater still and something he can revel in. So in essence, as we start to think about the material and go into this material and review it, I think you'll find that being the competitor that you are will make a very big difference, as we grow together over the next hour. So why would we ever think about builder realtor, builder broker, builder real estate broker cooperation for profit? Well, in the main thing is in your markets, everybody has an interesting market of folks to do business with. And I know, I use a lot of examples of Denver metro area because that's where I am. And we have well over 25,000 real estate brokers in the marketplace. And if you can imagine just cultivating a relationship with all 25,000, and having them bring you business, it would be amazing. Traveling the United States and speaking to home builders associations, economic development councils, boards of realtors, working with, all of these different trade association groups, splinter groups, etc. It's always amazing to me that when I ask a question and I jump into builder broker cooperation, I often ask, how many real estate brokers do you work with? And I always get somebody sitting on the front row raising her hand and saying, oh, I work with a lot of brokers. And I say, well, that's great. How many do you work with? And she'll say 3 to 3, the most I've ever worked with within a given year is 6. And I say, oh, that's wonderful. And I go around the room, numbers are similar. And what's fascinating to me is that, here we're sitting, in Denver Metro, for example, with 25,000 plus real estate brokers. You have an audience from which to really understand the market. You want to understand, you want to evaluate the brokers that are selling. You want to make a difference with each of them. You want to nurture these people and evaluate and understand which offices are doing better than others. You want to put yourself into a perspective that you're becoming the most knowledgeable person about your real estate brokerage market. Some of you are here today from Dallas, very large market. Some of you are here from the Miami, Florida metro area, and you're in a large area. And you need to understand how many sales are being matriculated by the real estate brokerage community. If they do not make sales, they will go out of business. It's really simple. There's 2 things that can happen in our business, and especially within the real estate brokerage arena. You can either produce or perish. George Morrison, an outstanding builder years ago from Van Wagner Homes, shared that with me. He said that all of us in sales, when you really come down to it, we're given the opportunity to reach out to the marketplace and make a difference. So what I'd like to do is really get into the depth of the material. You want to evaluate the marketplace. You want to note the statistics. which offices are selling more real estate than other offices, which brokers are leading the charge, which companies are doing the best in the marketplace to spearhead their companies and deliver and look at the most listings that they have. There's a big difference between listers and sellers. Listers typically go out into the marketplace and seek the ability to sell homes for other individuals. And then they depend upon the rest of the real estate brokerage community to buy the products that they're listing. So in essence, we as home builders, as developers, we're also listers. Now, the real key is to find the end user that's going to be the best party for us. And in essence, what we try to do is evaluate the immediate trading area. Some of our trading areas are 3 miles wide and deep. Some of them are 5 miles, 10 miles. And what we like to do is look at the existing sold records. And we realize, and this is important, the average home in the United States is looked at 24 times before it actually gets sold. 24 times before it actually gets sold.
Has that changed much, Robert?
No.
With the internet or something? When you say looked at, you mean physically someone shows
physically
up?
Come out, tour the property. I mean, yes, on the internet, Jeff, you're 100% correct. People are scanning constantly. And as a result, before they even come out, they probably looked at a number of different products and start to make that funnel choice of selection, as we've discussed, where they narrow it down to 3 or 4 homes for the most part. But what we found over and over again is that one of the quickest things to evaluate your market is to understand that that real estate broker that has that listing is a tremendous resource for you. And if that home is priced at $500,000 that real estate broker is selling, my question to you and what we've adapted to, what happened to the other 24 buyers that came out and looked at that home? And what happened to those other brokers that brought that buyer to that individual? So in essence, you have a well of prospective leads to go back to that real estate broker through the evaluation, and say, look, we're willing to cooperate with you. Our percentage is such and such, and we'll be happy to cooperate. And you might pick up a lot of leads out of those 24.
That's an important point, and something you shared with me that it only made sense after you shared it, but I thought exactly the opposite, that if I'm going to go after real estate brokers, I would think I want to go after all the hot shots, the ones who are the leaders. And what you've said in community after community, neighborhood after neighborhood, project after project, that it was in fact the part-time real estate brokers who brought more business to you.
Well, it's either part-time or the folks who are doing less than 10 sales a year. I would share with you, Jeff, that what we found is that as you would call them, the hot shots, it's the old Pareto's principle. 80% of the business is done by 20% of the real estate brokers, or 20% of the real estate brokers are making 80% of the business. Well, those 20%, they want to sell their own listings first. They make more money doing that on a percentage split. Typically, and every market is a little bit different, but pretty much the standard is a 6% listing in the community. And what happens is that the lister keeps 3.2% and the selling agent gets 2.8%. And in new home sales, we've pretty much rounded it off to 3%. And we'll talk about compensation in a bit. But I did want to focus on the fact that what we found in really understanding the real estate market is going after the people who can bring a qualified buyer to us. We're not concerned that they stay there and work through every detail of an agreement, the standard specifications, which home site to really select, the options or upgrades to consider. We'll educate the real estate broker. What we want them to do is bring us a qualified lead, and we share that with them. What we want to do is you give us the lead. We'll keep you apprised of every meeting, every phone call we have, every email that we have. We'll keep you in the loop. What we want to do is help you go out into the marketplace and generate more business. In
So
the interim, we'll take care of the buyer.
It's really a performance-based marketing team is what you're building with those real estate brokers.
Excellent point. And as a result, Jeff, what we do is a little bit different, so that we cultivate the situation. Again, the hot shot, as you pointed out, they'll come to us, and I would tell you 9 times out of 10, we're there as an analysis evaluation factor for them. They're using us as a comparable to sell their listings, which is fine, because every time we have an opportunity to show off our demonstration skills, to show off our ability to cooperate, it sends a positive signal to them. And if they're working in a brokerage company of 50 real estate brokers, and we're doing all the right things, and they're sharing that information with us, with the other brokers, we're getting brownie points, if you will. We're getting attaboys and attagirls, pats on the back, and that in itself is worth its weight in gold to generate more qualified opportunities. Now, on the compensation plan, Jeff, it really becomes an important concept in understanding. And this is very, 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 very important. What I'm going to share with you today, and I'll repeat it, you need to pay your salespeople the same commission that you would pay to them, whether they're working with a buyer directly, a consumer directly, or with a real estate broker and a buyer. In other words, you don't want to compensate them more if there's not a real estate broker involved. So in essence, we found that by doing that, it's really funny. In the reverse situation, typically, if a real estate broker comes into a community, and meets with a real estate broker that's got the listing, or an on-site salesperson who works directly for the builder, and that salesperson is going to be compensated more to not do business with a real estate broker, they're going to treat the real estate community very poorly. They're not going to go out of their way to ingratiate themselves because they want to earn more money. And if they can earn another half a point, another point, another point and a half, however somebody deems their compensation program, they're going to do it. But what they're missing the boat on is that they're destroying the relationship for future sales. The word goes out. And in our business, there is no such thing as a confidentiality statement. There is no such thing as a qualified non-disclosure agreement.
So it's not, we're not doing something just between you and me. Everyone's going to know about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing. We work with one family business now for well over 40 years. And the company transitioned, and really interesting story. 2 daughters grew up in the business, went to the University of Denver's real estate construction management program. Another one went to political science. Both came out of school. One eventually became a real estate broker right away, then got her mortgage brokerage license, and the next daughter did the same thing. And one of them had a friend who wanted to buy a home. And she went to this builder, a very, very renowned builder, has a high profile in the marketplace. And this builder, and I'd love to tell you the name, but this builder put the transaction together. The commission for the real estate brokerage company was 3%. Long story short, the customer has a champagne taste and a beer pocketbook at the design center and wants to overspend the money. Sales manager calls the real estate broker after the fact and says, look, we want to keep this transaction together. and we'd like you to forego your commission in order to have the customer get everything that they want. Well, this young lady is very, very wealthy, and the principal, she loves her friends, and she says, sure, no problem. But in essence, she said to the sales manager, this is not appropriate. Regardless of what our buyer decides, to do, and you decide to do with and for the buyer, treating me this way is a bad mark against the real estate community.
And did she ever bring anyone else to that builder again?
She works in a brokerage company of over 78 individuals, Jeff. And they asked her at a sales meeting with 75 of the brokers being present, what happened to this transaction? New home sale, and this was a number of years ago before the pandemic. And she basically explained the entire transaction. Not only did those 75 boycott that builder, but all of their friends and peers in other real estate companies detract from ever bringing a buyer to that builder because they didn't want to lose control of the buyer and they didn't want to lose a 3% commission. It's most people don't realize it takes a lot of effort to find a qualified buyer that's a procuring cause. So in a compensation program, one of the things that we've been able to do as through our real estate company is always pay commissions, always be true. We never, ever cross the line and try to renegotiate with a real estate broker to take anything away from them in order to make the transaction work. That's a cost of doing business.
And one of the things you shared, and I think it maybe you presumed in this, but I think it's important for everyone in the audience to understand, is that in every community that you've been involved in, that if there are upgrades or add-ons or even future remodels, that the real estate broker is paid as well. Why would you do that? I mean, they don't know necessarily. Why would you do it? I mean, we kind of know, but
a lot of the national builders, a lot of builders don't like to pay any commission. And I mean, even in the same market, a national builder could have 8 different communities and often compensate differently from community to community. And let me just take a moment to explain that, again, real estate brokers have been trained, they've been educated. To get a real estate license, it takes some work, and it takes a lot of understanding of math. Let me share this with you. Let's take a $500,000 sale just for the fun of it, and let's say that the base price of the home is $400,000, and that real estate broker has a buyer who's qualified to purchase a home at $500,000 and maybe above. If they get a 3% commission on $400,000 and only the base price, that's $12,000. If they get the other 3% on a home site premium and all the extras, and let's say that the buyer spends a total of 20% more for that, that's a $100,000 above the standard base price. That's 100,000 times 3% is $3,000. Would you give up $3,000? And most real estate, no, you wouldn't. Most real estate brokers are just like you, Jeff. They don't want to leave $3,000 on the table. So what are they going to do? They're going to take the buyer into another builder that might tell them that, we'll pay you 3% on the gross purchase price. Or they'll sell an existing home and make that commission even faster, because in a pre-sale mode, it takes longer to deliver that product. Some of you in the audience have been delivering homes now where it takes 8 months and 12 months and 16 months to deliver a home, depending upon the market, supply chain disruption, labor shortages, et cetera, et cetera. So the key is that real estate broker wants to receive monetary compensation. And they're smart, they're not going to play with you. They're going to dodge you if they're not going to be treated correctly, and the word travels very quickly. Isn't it funny in life, when we're all doing the right things, very few people know all the time of all the right things that we're doing.
Right.
And,
That's why it's so important to have the right processes in place, right, Robert?
absolutely. And we share with everybody. You can do 158 things right. You do one thing wrong. Nobody remembers the 158 that you did right. And it's that way in real estate dramatically. So let's look at another point of the compensation. Let's consider the fact that, in a challenging market that you're in right now, one of the things that we have done is that once we've gotten the customer qualified, we've got a non-refundable deposit up front based upon a mortgage approval. And everything is documented. We'll often pay the real estate broker 50% up front at the completion of the mortgage approval.
And that's in the broker contract, right? So it's very important to have that process.
Well, it's in the agreement that we put together on behalf of the broker. I mean, we also don't hide the fact that the broker's getting paid from us with regard to the consumer. The consumer knows that there's a real estate commission involved, and that's part of the transaction. I mean, we don't hide it, but the main thing is that we'll set up an agreement, and we often have an agreement where it spells out in paragraph form compensation to the broker. And I think that the key there, Jeff, it's really important. And one of the things that I want to talk about in the business process that aligns with that is that what we do, again, that's different. We have lectures for real estate offices where we bring them to our community. If they can't come to the community, we go to them, if at all possible. If we have to do a virtual program, we do a virtual program, but we want them to know how easy it is to do business with us. And we want them to be to know that we're their go-to resource for education about new home construction. Regardless of whether they're selling our product or another product, we want to be the leader in the community. So we explain to them the process of how we put together the relationship and how we want them to call us in advance with every buyer that they have in order to help us prepare for the presentation for that buyer, so that we can, number one, make sure that the buyer understands our respect for that real estate broker, because buyers are funny. Buyers will often shift from one real estate broker to another. And by calling us in advance and having that broker come out with the buyer and knowing more about the buyer, we're also able to sell that real estate broker that they're working with.
And work on that transition, the takeover. But as the on-site representative, complimenting the broker and how fortunate the potential buyer is to be working with that broker, it's a third-party endorsement.
Exactly. And what it does, Jeff, it solidifies our relationship with the real estate broker, and it also sends a positive signal to the buyer that, number one, we know the real estate broker, so there's comfort on both sides. Number one, there's more comfort now for them with the real estate broker and the real estate brokerage company. And because there's an affinity between us, an alliance between us, it makes this triangle of togetherness more solidified.
Are there any tips you have on that takeover, that where the builder or the builder rep or the on-site sales rep takes over? Is there a hint or a suggestion you have everybody have in mind?
Well, I think what we do, and it's pretty straightforward. As I shared earlier, when we were going through the evaluation process, we want to make sure that the real estate brokers know that we're not there to cheat them out of a commission. If they've never worked with us, we let them know that we've compensated many real estate brokers. And the other thing is that there could also be a fear, Jeff, that as real estate brokers ourselves, that we would take over the listing of the existing home in some fashion, because usually a buyer has a home to sell in many instances before they purchase a new one. And what we do is use testimonials, endorsements. We explain other individuals so that we can use these testimonials to share how we've treated everyone. The takeover is one of the key points, because we want to be able to control the buyer through the entire sale of the home, through completion of the home. And if a real estate broker came to every single meeting that we would have with the buyer, because we meet regularly,
Right.
we have schedules, and it might not be in conformance with the schedule of the real estate broker. So as I shared, what we want them to do, we explain to the buyer, we'll keep your real estate broker in the loop with regard to everything. And, I will become the point person for your buyer, for you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, today, tomorrow, and forever. In the interim, again, the real estate broker is entitled to attend every single meeting that we have. We'll keep him or her abreast of the meeting schedule, so that if she or he can attend, that will be fantastic. And it really helps us set expectations that we're team players. We're not trying to take over a situation just for the sake of it, but we also set the expectations. We shared earlier with the instruction close technique as one of the key ways of setting expectations, by saying, I bet you're wondering how easy it is to purchase a home. Let me explain it. And within the body of that expectation, we also let them know that we're working with them, that we take care of the real estate broker. So, from the communication to the complimenting the broker, the takeover, setting expectation, putting the sale together, and constant communication, is critical for us in order to ensure that we're going to get to the closing table more readily for all parties concerned. Jeff, you're on mute.
Robert, when we talk to a builder, often they'll say, yeah, we touch base with them once a month. And you usually you get a little asthmatic, you can't breathe, because that's totally not your style. That's not how you've become the $40 billion man. There's really a series of communications, and I think everyone would benefit from that, because really in any and every business, having regular and organized communications and a process for it is really key. So I think you kind of walking through that for everyone is really important, so they understand what kind of information that people are getting on a regular basis.
Well, it's a much bigger answer, Jeff. The monthly communication to the real estate brokers, to the consumers, there's no question. I mean, it's not monthly. Sometimes it's daily, sometimes it's every other day that we're communicating, both by phone and email. If we have a phone conversation with a buyer, with a real estate broker, we always memorialize it into an email and make sure that it goes into the customer file, as well as the fact that it's sent. If there's participation with a mortgage company, with a bank, with a title company, everybody gets notified within the commentary who's participating in the sale. And what we do when we're business to business, it also gives us the opportunity to ask for referrals. When it's business to consumer and business, we're still asking everybody for referrals. So because we also take the time to explain to the real estate broker and to the consumer that, for example, if we have 100 homes in this neighborhood, and they're the 25th buyer, they have a 1% investment in the success of their community. So we want them to become an asset base, an ambassador of goodwill, even a salesperson for us. And we want everyone to know the importance of building out the community, because as everyone who's here today understands, the value of a community is far greater when it's built out than when it's only built out 33%.
So how do you use those morning meetings for real estate brokers and brokerage offices in order to really market your product in the community?
It's funny. I mean, for example, the first neighborhood that I did here in Denver in 1978, we were in the midst. We were between Boulder and Denver, and in a very, very blue collar area, and we were selling upscale housing in a country club environment. And fortunately we were adjacent to a huge plant for Western Electric, which helped generate some sales. But what we did, we found, for example, in these meetings that you're asking about, what we did is host continental breakfasts where we explained how easy it was to do. We went through the process in the wheel that you had shown in the upper right-hand corner of the diagram, and we then toured the real estate brokers throughout the community. We took them over to the golf course, to the clubhouse. We took them to the tennis courts, the swimming pool. We drove the vacant land sites that were available to purchase. That was a custom home neighborhood called the Ranch. And in essence, what we were able to do was really let them know that we were going to help them, because there is a very big difference between selling existing homes and selling new homes. And it's not the same ingredients.
So, I mean, those morning meetings for the real estate community were really important. And there are a lot of different ways to fill them up to market. You are a master at networking. And in this respect, because someone has done all these other steps and they understand the market, what are the tips? Because we have a number of builders in our audience today. And again, these are tips I'm sure that can be used in other businesses as well. But what are the tips for networking that you suggest that people use to be able to really spread the word about their communities, their projects?
Well, I'm going to take a step back, and then, because it's all part of networking, on these monthly communication, we also had a newsletter that we sent to every real estate broker in our trading area. Things that were going on, homes that were available, home sites that were available, commercial leasing that was available. We also had commercial brokerage opportunities, and explained the process. And the morning meetings that you spoke about, we continued them. And again, if we couldn't get to to have them come to us, we went to them. And we had it in those days. I mean, today it's different with electronic media, but we had slideshows, and we would bring them to to their offices and train them accordingly. The other thing I want to really take a step in, when you talk about communication, we created other opportunities that to this day nobody seems to use. Every one of our salespeople has to make a minimum of 10 calls a day to real estate, not to the same, but to different real estate brokers every day. And if they can't get a hold of them, and there's a voice message, they have to leave a lengthy message explaining why they're calling, what inventory is available, how the real estate broker is going to be compensated, and to ask, of course, for a callback. And so each week, every salesperson has to make a minimum of 50 telephone calls, and it's critical. The other thing I'm going to share with you that's a little different in the way that we do business is that we speak about, that residential brokerage company and that residential broker. Well, guess what? We have a shift, a paradigm shift not only do we use the real estate brokers that are residentially oriented, but we go after every single commercial real estate broker in the market.
That's again how you expand your network. You use in your career, you've used trade associations, chambers of commerce, economic development councils. How important were those to your success and the success of the builder broker programs?
Well, in the sense of, we only can compensate individuals directly from a real estate brokerage company to a real estate brokerage company. But the other opportunity was to expand the alliance partnerships into those other programs where one of the key things, a lot of the economic development councils bring new business into the market or bring business within the market to other locations in order to help them grow and facilitate the expansion of their businesses. So one of the key things is that these economic development councils want to assure that their new customers coming in or existing customers expanding have housing and shelter for their customer base. And because we're involved in those trade associations, we also market to them, provide them with all the photography. For example, we in every community, we always reach out, we always join not only the Home Builders Association, but we also join the Board of Realtors, we join the Economic Development Councils and the Chambers of Commerce, and supply them with all the photographic needs that they need and get credit for the community or communities that we're marketing in their trading area. And then we get into their website with our photography. We supply copy if they need copy for their whole program. We reach out and provide them with marketing services at no expense to them, which helps reduce their, the need for their marketing, and at the same time enhances our position as the good guy. The other thing that happens in these trade associations, people call from all over the world now about moving into communities. Right. And this is important for you who are listening, we get the information on a weekly basis of the calls that are coming in or emails that are coming in from people coming to Colorado, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, from Savannah, Georgia. We're getting these lists of individuals, and sometimes it costs $25 a month, sometimes $100 a month. This is an inexpensive way. And then a lot of times we also focus on brokers, real estate brokers who specialize in relocation. And especially in doing that with the commercial brokerage companies, we're at the head of the class. So if somebody's coming in to and they're transferring 4,000 employees, or they're going to be hiring locally 2,000 employees, we're on the cutting edge of getting to those people and adding value to them right away.
That's absolutely brilliant, Robert. And you also have a unique way of using continuing education to engage and connect with brokers. I mean, if you're a builder, you're selling stuff, what are you teaching, and how are you getting continuing education credit that gets you in front of those kinds of real estate brokers?
A lot of what we do is teach the art of networking. We typically, with every real estate broker needs continuing education credits. And frankly, architects do, and other certain individual insurance companies. What we try to do is put together a certain series of syllabi or a syllabus of one class or two, where we can take a general topic. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but we've held meetings for years at the Polo store at the Cherry Creek Mall in Denver, Colorado. Or an upscale. You could consider an upscale apparel clothing store that suits men and women. And the key there, is hosting an event and doing an educational program before the store ever opens and serving that continental breakfast, educating them with a 1 hour, 2 hour class, Dress for Success. We've done business communication. We have done networking. We have done the art of the new home sale. All of these things. And what we'd like to do is host many of these programs at our model homes or our discovery center or sales center, and have the people come to the community as often as we can, the real estate brokers, to get their continuing ed certification.
That is absolutely incredible, Robert. It's, people say, well, gee, it's really expensive. I have to rent a room. Well, if you're going into a store before they open, they're thrilled to have high-end buyers who need their product, like a retail clothing store, and have them come in. They'll let you use a beautiful environment, and it's quiet, private, and quite exclusive. So it's just a brilliant idea. Now, something you do in every endeavor, and it's so important in construction, in new home construction, is progress communications, because it's the biggest purchase that most people will ever make in their entire lives. And they're worried, they're anxious. So what you may want to share, what do you find is the top ways, and how do you go about keeping the buyer informed, updated? How do you do that so that they're excited and not frustrated?
Yeah, well, we also review with them a critical path and or PERT chart of the progress of their home. We let them know what the anticipated month is of the delivery. Years ago, we would pin the date and we would hit it. We would always beat it. Today, it's a little bit more challenging. But what they're looking for, there are different scenarios in the buyer transaction. When they first meet you, there's a tremendous fear. There's a term that buyers are liars, and they're not. We know that buyers are afraid. It is a big decision. It is a big program. Those of you who are listening, some of you have heard me say this before. When buyers come in with their children, whether it's a mother, a father, a couple comes in with children, we don't qualify the parents, we qualify the children. And we get to know the children, and we keep them in the loop with things to get them excited. We find out, depending upon their ages, what their interest levels are, and we always communicate with the parents and with the children. Children love to get mail. Children love to get emails. We don't tell them the details of the financial side of the program, but we let everybody know. We take photographs of the progress. For example, if they're from outside of the community, they live 200 miles away, 400 miles away, whatever, we keep them apprised by sending them progress photographs of what's going on in the building of their home. We spend the time of emailing and all the correct parties. We know that if we can get the buy-in from the children, and the children are excited about moving into the community, we know that they're going to make a big difference and help us close the sale. And I know it sounds a little crazy, but the biggest asset that any parent has is his or her children. The next most important asset are the grandchildren. And, it just becomes one of these things. So we look at the whole nuclear cell, and then we look at the extended family, as a way to communicate, and just deliver progress reports. We also like to phone and not deal directly. And I know it sounds a little old school, but we like to hear the voice of the parties with whom we're speaking. And then the other thing that we do is every communication we have with a consumer, we also have a similar communication with the real estate broker to update her or him with everything that we're doing, so that they are in tune with that buyer and that they can go back and communicate with the buyer and reinforce what we're all doing. And then
you really look at the the real estate broker as the partner in the whole sale and process in delivering that satisfaction and a great experience, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and then the other thing that's so important is that when we have the opportunity, we want to let the managing broker know about what we're doing. We want to let them know that we're working with real estate broker, pick a name, it could be any broker that you work with. And we want to let them, we want to tout the performance of the real estate broker with whom we're working to the managing broker of that office. And we'll send letters and emails as well that will be posted in the office or shared at sales meetings about the recognition that we're providing those individuals. We want to really let every real estate brokerage company know that we're collaborative. And when we get an agreement put together, we start communicating also with all the brokers in that office and let them know that we're working with Sally Dugan. And Sally was a great instrumental field force in putting this transaction together. And we want to let you know that you can get your piece of the pie at the ranch or at the preserve or whatever community we're selling. So it's another way of extending ourselves. Number one, recognizing the real estate broker to her cohorts and peers, and at the same time soliciting their business practice to come to us with more buyers.
They give people who are with us today and those who will be watching the replay of this, which will be up until Monday at midnight. You have a couple of really incredible strategies that you use to involve more and more realtors. You talk to some people may have heard this, but you talk about get your piece of the pie. So you would actually have someone deliver a pie or pies, depending on how many people are in a real estate office, and say, get your piece of the pie, bring your buyers to the ranch or whatever community you were selling, right?
Yes. So if there were, let's say, 24 real estate brokers in an office, we would send 3 pies and we would have a triangle. We would have the pie covered, of course, with the cellophane, and the baker would then place our messaging, and we would have on that pie, get your piece of the pie at the ranch, et cetera. And we would put up the information about the price of the homes, the standard information about the community, and the compensation available awaiting them. Then, in addition to that, we would send a sheet cake, maybe the following week or a couple of weeks later. And on the sheet cake, it would have your road to commissions with a green road with dollar signs, and then a logo of the community. And we would also, by the way, send the plasticware and napkins with our logos on it for the folks in the real estate offices. And it's not just the 24 real estate brokers. We'd want to know how many staff people are there. There could be 6, could be 7, whatever the number is. We would also have pie available for them, sheet cake available. We're sweet on you at the preserve. Or Norwood Development, we send boxes of candy. We're nuts about you. We send big trays of different nuts. So it goes on and on. We even took it to another step, and instead of just sending a yardstick, we sent a 4-yardstick to 4,000 real estate brokers in Colorado Springs. And our message for the community, where we were merchandising 8 builders at the time, measure your success at Norwood, on both sides of the 4-yardstick. So it's little things that you do to stay in front of the people. And we've done coffee mugs. Everybody does coffee mugs. Well, our coffee mugs have the logo not only on the outside of the cup, but on the inside of the cup at the bottom.
On the
So
bottom.
when you finish the cup of coffee, it's there. Then we've even put the logo on the back of the mug, so that people would see that wherever we could demonstrate, and it's just out there. The other thing that we did another community that had never had broker cooperation. We were the first community in Boulder, Colorado, to ever do real estate broker cooperation. And what we did there, we sent the mug. The following week, we sent coffee packets in the mail. The following week, we sent hot chocolate. The following week, we sent tea. The following month, we had a creamer, sugar, and then we did the cakes, the pies, etc. We had a 10-week campaign. And I would tell you, that was so remarkable. The gentleman who and I who went into partnership together, he said, having run the largest real estate company in Boulder before we ever went into business together, he said nobody ever did these things, and it was amazing. Our sales skyrocketed, and were driven in that one community. I would tell you that we were over 95% of all of our sales that were driven by outside real estate brokers. We did another community. While I was at the community, there were only 2 non-co-broke sales out of almost 375 custom homes. Only 2 non-co-broke sales.
Unbelievable, Robert. Well, we're here just wrapping up an incredible 4 days, and I'm sure. Please share your feedback or ask any questions in the chat. We have just a few more minutes, so we are open to answering any questions that you might have. Want to just thank you, Robert, for sharing so generously. This, as you said, has been one of the secret weapons you've used to outperform the pro forma for every community that you've ever worked with, which is why you've been such an industry leader, why you're recognized for that kind of success. And we're wrapping up 4 incredible days. Day 1 was the 5 secrets for turning qualified prospects into buyers. We talked then on day 2, which was the steps for motivating and getting employees and trades to actually be excited and get work done, which is amazing. Growing up in a family business, I didn't think you had to do that. Day 4, the strategies for maximizing profits. We really dug deep into the numbers and then talked about different aspects. And today, really the number one secret that strategy that Robert does, that, as you said, you were the first one in Boulder, Colorado to do it. No one else did it. Do you have any closing remarks, Robert, as we wrap up? We are going to have more programs. We ask everyone, please, this is a free program. What we ask for you is we'll be sending you a form to get your feedback. We need your feedback. We want to know what you like, what we could do better, what you'd like to see in future programs. We're looking at a future program in the near future on how to double your sales, and looking at what Robert's done in his career, how to double it using a parade of homes. And that's for in any business, any industry. But Robert, why don't you wrap it up for everybody? It's just been an amazing 4 days.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you as a sidekick, and working with you and Tiffany and Del Jane. We've accomplished a lot. But the takeaway that I'd like you all to think about, when you put together your compensation program, this is really important, what I'm going to share with you. A lot of times companies get clever and say, well, if real estate broker Leah Wilson comes out again and she brings us a buyer, we'll pay her another quarter, another half a point percentage for bringing us a second buyer within a 12-month period of time. We've taken that concept a little bit differently and looked at it in a way to ingratiate the entire real estate brokerage company. So let's say again that there's 50 real estate brokers in that office. What we'll do, instead of just offering that incentive to one real estate broker, we offer it to all the real estate brokers within that office. So we have a sliding scale. So if we're at 3% for a commission from one broker, and then another broker like Tiffany Brackens comes into the office and brings us a buyer that we close, that commission would go to 3.25%. Then when Del Jane comes in and she brings us another buyer from the same real estate office that year, we'll pay her 3.5%, which goes to the brokerage company and the according split. And then it will keep raising for every sale that comes from the office. And throughout the year, we had one real estate broker, that who started the train, if you will. And I can remember paying 7 commissions to one real estate broker in a down market or challenging economic market with this program. I would also share with you, we opened up a community years ago, and it was the first residential neighborhood adjacent and in a large master plan community that was predominantly upscale apartment homes. And there was a real estate broker that lived there and cultivated relationships in the recreation center, which was really like a clubhouse. And she brought us 14 transactions from one apartment neighborhood called the Breakers. And it was just fascinating. So what you want to be able to do is take care of the real estate brokerage community, and the real estate brokerage community will take care of you. Thanks so much for having me have the opportunity to be with you today. Again, questions, operators are standing by. My cell phone is spelled SELL, and you can call our cell phones. We're here for you, 303-601-5840, 303-601-5840. And amazingly, Jeff can be reached at area code 303-726-7753. His operators are standing by right now. Have a great day. Look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Okay, it's just us chickens. So we got some nice comments, and I don't know if you saw, but
Jeff, the stream.
yes, Tiffany.
The stream.
Yes,
Yeah, please turn it off.
I thought I did.
No, it's still on.